Hello, and I think we can all agree that 2011 was a fantastic year. I've had my personal highlights and lowlights. Highlight, going into a bar, watching the final of the Rugby World Cup, France vs New Zealand, of course seeing New Zealand win. Lowlight, exams. Need I say more? But most importantly though, 2011 has been a great year for movies, and made 2010 look like crap. I've now seen 47 movies from 2011, and I will share with you my top 11 favourites and tell you why I liked them so much. Before I begin, just keep in mind that I live in New Zealand, so there are some movies that came out 2010 overseas, but I can tell you now that all these movies came out in 2011 here in New Zealand. But without further ado, let's get on to the list. My number 11 pick is a film that came out near the beginning of June and was definitely one of the classier blockbusters of the winter. And that film is Super 8. I was looking forward to this movie a lot, and thank goodness it did not disappoint. I love this movie, and it has this really nice, really cute nostalgia factor to it. And it is also a really suspenseful mystery film. A few people that I know said that they didn't like the movie because the ending was too corny and too cliched. They are obviously missing the point. The movie is not about the monster story. The monster story is just a small little background story to give the film something to work around. The film's main focus is the children and the relationships between all the characters. And for that, I loved the ending. It gave me the chills and it's something that made my jaw drop and was just so beautiful. Number 10 is a film that caused a small amount of controversy at its world premiere, and it's obvious as to why, because my number 10 is 127 Hours. This is a film that is told and put onto screen in such an awesome and unique way, and gave me even more respect for Danny Boyle as director. And it actually affects you as you're watching it. You feel thirsty, and confused, and also scared. All the things that this character is feeling, and surprisingly, it is actually quite entertaining to watch. This is a movie that really makes you think afterwards and has a very good message to it. Number 9 is a movie that I originally liked a little less than 127 Hours, but as time went by, the more I thought about each film, I began to like this one more. And my number 9 is The King's Speech. This movie basically took all the big Oscar awards, and although I don't think that it should have won the Best Picture and I think some of the other nominees were better, I do think that Colin Firth totally deserved the Best Actor award. He gave a phenomenal performance in this film. I was blown away. And not only is that, but the style of this film is terrific as well. Both Colin Firth and Jeffrey Rush had great on-screen chemistry, and at times this movie is emotional, and the last few scenes are highly effective. This is just a wonderful film all round and is very feel-good. My number 8 is the Coen brothers' latest film, True Grit. This is a movie that manages to hold great performances, an engaging story, and thrills and also laughs all together. This is one hell of a Western thriller, and surprisingly, a comedy. And it has this really cool style to it. It's dark, but not too dark. The thriller aspect of the story is incredible, and not to mention that everyone gives a great performance, especially Hailee Steinfeld and Jeff Bridges. And even though I don't watch westerns, like, at all, I can tell that this is a great western. Sure, the film's main climax is a bit too quick, but the rest of this gritty action thriller comedy more than makes up for that. My number 7 is the only movie on this list that I have not actually reviewed, so I'm going to review that movie right now, and my number 7 is Crazy Stupid Love. And this movie is basically about all these corresponding relationships and the love that's in these people's relationships. But it mainly follows the character Cal, who is a bit down on his luck and has had his wife want a divorce. And then after she slept with another guy called David Linderhagen. And then Cal goes into this big, fancy bar and, well, moans about it. And then this big, sexy ladies man called Jacob goes over to Cal and says, you know, this is not the way to pick up chicks. Even though I'd much rather drink the drink that Cal was drinking, but that's unfortunate. And Jacob makes Cal a ladies' man. And there are also these smaller other relationship stories which lead on from other ones, but they're best not known about them until you see the movie, I think. Let me just start off by saying that this is my favourite romantic comedy since 500 Days of Summer and Up in the Air. Well, at first I thought I liked it almost as much as 500 Days, but when the movie finished, I must say that I like it more than 500 Days of Summer, but it doesn't quite deliver the goods that Up in the Air did. For a film like this, then, is really dependent on its script and how well written it is. Unfortunately, the script is written perfectly. The script adds a sense of realism to the movie, and that is probably why I liked the movie so much. Because it has a sense of realism to it and manages to show all the relationships in a realistic way. None of these connections feel out of place. It is a really tough task to portray several different relationships in a movie and in the right way, but fortunately, this movie portrays them all in a really realistic and believable way. And I love how they all link up together in one way or another, and you can pick what your favourite one was. My personal favourite was the one between Robbie and Jessica, but that is just me. The performances in this movie are just great. Steve Carell gives an awesome dramatic and comedic performance, and I already knew that he worked well with both. And Ryan Gosling gives an ace performance as a big suave ladies man and tries something new and gives a comedic performance for once. And I really liked John Abubu as Robbie. And this movie is really funny as well. So many quick, witty lines that make you laugh, and the way how Cal is not doing a good job at picking up chicks at first. And the movie made me smile at numerous occasions. There's this one scene, I'm not going to say what it is, but it's this small little race against time scene. And it reminded me so much of the showdown in Submarine. And I could not help but think, oh no, it's Submarine all over again. And the film is also somewhat emotionally effective. There's this one scene where Cal is talking to his wife over the phone after they've split up. That scene is the most effective of them all, and I could feel the emotions kicking in hard as if I was pregnant with emotions. Okay, as for what I didn't like, I must say that the film felt way longer than it actually is. But that adds to the real life aspect of the film and made it feel more real. So I liked that, but then I couldn't help but thinking that maybe the film still would have worked if it were fast paced. So maybe the directors could have tried that, but then I respect them for not doing so because, as the old saying goes, don't fix something that isn't broke. Time for my one sentence review. Crazy Stupid Love is an amazing film that proves you can make a great movie with more than one person directing, and I was expecting this movie to be great and exceeded my expectations. I'm going to give Crazy Stupid Love 5 out of 5 stars. Number 6 has to go what is by far the funniest movie I've seen in all of 2011, and that is The Guard. Where to begin with The Guard? This movie made me and the rest of the sold-out cinema that I saw it in laugh hysterically. One of the most important things in a comedy is good chemistry between the characters. Thank goodness Don Cheadle and Brendan Gleeson have excellent on-screen chemistry together. And they also prove that they are very good comedic actors. This is a movie that is incredibly funny and has so many golden lines that are highly quotable. And the film is very similar to Hot Fuzz, which I also liked, but I just think that The Guard is better. But if you like Hot Fuzz, you will like The Guard. So now we have entered the top 5. So the number 5 pick goes to The End of an Era, the last film in a fantastic series. I'm of course talking about Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I know that it's odd that I gave this movie a 4.5 and I gave The Guard and Crazy Stupid Love a 5, but the thing is that I liked Harry Potter a little bit more than those two, but Harry Potter could have been so much better, hence the 4.5 rating. But it's not by much that I like this film more. My number 7, 6, 5 and 4 are so close that after rewatches they will most likely change, but this is my order right now. As I said in my review, this film ends the series with a bang. It brings the series to a very emotional climax and has some shocking secrets in the story that you would not expect to happen. It is basically one part adventure, one part emotional twist, and another part exciting action showdown. It isn't fast paced, but that is a good thing, because otherwise it would feel rushed. This final installment, or film all round, is exciting, thrilling, heartwarming, funny, shocking, adventurous, emotional, and also sends some good messages. The number 4 pick has to go to my favourite animated film of the year, and that is Arrietty. Arrietty is 2011's true Pixar film, and it's not done by Pixar, it's done by Studio Ghibli. What I mean is that this film has all the good things in it that make Pixar films great. This movie has absolutely gorgeous animation, and it's all hand-drawn as well. And the way that the friendship is portrayed between Arrietty and the boy is just so sweet. The main thing that makes this film look so stunning and beautiful is how detailed it is. Every nook and cranny and every small pattern is done perfectly. And there's one plot point involving a dollhouse that I won't give away, but the animation there would require the most talent of them all. But the movie isn't just beautiful visually, it has a strong heart as well. There's this one scene where the boy and Arrietty are talking face to face, and it is the most touching, most beautiful, and sweetest scene I have seen all year. My number 3 is a movie that a lot of people are going to say is overrated, and I can see why you would think that. And it hasn't made many people's top 10 lists, but it has made mine, and I'm surprised at how high it is. But number 3 is Source Code. Now, you may remember me saying that I couldn't decide on whether I give it a 4.5 or 5, and I said the same after seeing it a second time, but I think I have finally made up my mind. I give it 5 out of 5. What made this movie work so much is how smart it was. It manages to be a Hollywood blockbuster, but at the same time a very intelligent one. And I would say that is in that line between Hollywood blockbuster and art house. The only real gripe I have with this movie is that the writing is a bit subpar. After just watching it a third time, I didn't realise how much the last half hour of a film could really change my mind on it. The first hour is really good and is a pretty interesting mystery film, but the last half hour is superb. It had something that was so bittersweet, and it's probably the most beautiful shot of 2011. My choice for number 2 is a film that I think all my friends should see, and I am disappointed that not many people have seen it, and that is Submarine. To describe Submarine in 2 words, simply amazing. It has this really realistic feel to it, and how the characters act in this movie is how teenagers act in real life. It is a love story that is told in such a unique and original and plain out brilliant way. And it also is a drama comedy that is powerful, delightful, and relatable. Also, Richard Ayoade's direction is fantastic, especially for a debut. What he brings to the table is great. Having this film split into parts, clever tricks with the camera, and the final scene/epilogue are all amazing. The film is funny, and it also has an awesome payoff. It may be a bit too weird for some, but you have to check out Submarine. You more than likely will not regret it. So now we have finally made it to the number 1 spot. And my number 1 favourite film of 2011 is none other than The Fighter. Not only is The Fighter my favourite film of 2011, but it is also the first movie that I saw of the year. So that means that this movie has stayed my favourite film of 2011 for the entire year. The Fighter is perfect in my eyes. It just did everything right. So many of the scenes are so incredibly powerful, especially the scene between Dickie and Charlene, which was probably my favourite scene in the whole film. The story is explained in such an amazing fashion, and you can tell exactly how each character feels in each situation, which mainly comes from the acting. Everyone gives an outstanding performance, but it is Christian Bale that gives the phenomenal one. The story is hard-hitting and starts off quite bleak, but as it goes on is less depressing, and by the end of it is very feel-good. This film is a family drama and true story movie that I think could not have been done better. I remember coming out of this film giving it a 4.5, but the more I thought about it and watching it a second and third and quite recently a 4th time, I like it more. I could go on about how good this movie is for longer, but I won't. The Fighter is the film of the year that you need to see. And that is my top 11 favourite movies of 2011. I highly recommend you see every movie on this list. I will make sure to put the link to my full top 20 in the description box. And if you can click on my channel and see in the channel description, is listed all 47 movies I've seen from 2011. So, until my John Carter review, goodbye.